discuss what is a class. Can any one of you tell me that what do you mean by a class? Actually, we have already done some programming using the class concept. Can anyone tell me that what is the meaning of class? Or can you give any example of class? Who are familiar with Java? Some of you are familiar with Java previously. Okay, can any one of you tell me that what do you mean by class? Nobody? Okay, then just think about a part that you just want to build up a house. For that purpose, at first you need to have some blueprint that how this building can be constructed. This blueprint is nothing but a class. If we go for any real life example, then you just want to build up any house or any building. Then at the very beginning, you need to create a template of that. That how many rooms will be there, what are the layout of that rooms, like that. Okay, so this thing is conceptually we can think as a concept of class, this template basically. Now using this blueprint, one single blueprint, you can create many house or many buildings. So if this building has a real life existence in this world, then we can say that this building is an object of this class. Got it? So class is a blueprint, or you can think as a template in which we are defining the construct basically, that what you want to build. Okay, this is the concept of class. You can think as if you are aware of software engineering or the development process of any software, then you can think as it is as a prototype or sketch or painting that will define you that how the building will be constructed, just the layout. Okay, and at that time you have this blueprint or you have this sketch in your hand, then using this, then you can construct many buildings. And when this building will be constructed, and after the construction, then we can say that each and every building is the instance of that blueprint. Or technically, we can say this is the object of that class. Clear? So from a class, we can create more than one object also. Now look at an example. This is the basically concept of class. Now go for this example, that what actually class consists of. We all know this is the definition for a class. Just highlighting it with a color. Just for any color, just it will be clear. Okay, so this is the construct of any class. First of all, you have to write down the class, CLASS. After that, you have to define the name of the class. This name of the class is user defined. According to your need or according to your requirement, you can define a name of that class. And that class, all the data members or all the members of this class will be enclosed by a bracket. That is the second bracket. This is opening bracket and this is the closing bracket. So all the thing, all your thoughts, all the material or all the members, whatever you will define within the class should be included in this bracket. Okay. And one more thing that you need to remember, I am repeating this more time, that the class name should be your program name also. This is the restriction. Okay. So whenever you want to do some programming in Java, at the very beginning, you need to define a template. Okay. That template will be defined by the concept of class. So what you will do, first of all, you will define a class with this word, reserved word, and then you need to define the name of that class. And after that class definition, you need to define the two methods, basically to construct. two members. One is known as a field and another is known as a method. Here this field is nothing but variables. We all know why we will do programming, because we have some data, we need to process those data in various ways. After processing of those data, we will get answer to some query. For that purpose, we need to do programming, and that will consist of some application program basically. Okay, so for that purpose, this field actually defines the variables. Variable is nothing but the data. You need to define it according to its nature, that whether it is a whole number, whether it is a fractional number, whether it is a character, like that. And after that, whatever the variables you will define within the class, that variable should be processed. And for that purpose, you need to define a method. And this method will contain, in case of object-oriented programming, it will contain the state and behavior of the object. That is the real-life entity of this class, or the instance of this class, nothing but this. So if we are going for this example of what is actually the object, just think about the previous example. Look at this. So if we take an example, that is a bicycle. Okay. So bicycle is an object. So we can define a class named bicycle. And whenever we want to define the object of that class bicycle, we can define two parts. First part is known as the state and second part is known as the behavior. Okay. So what will be the state for this bicycle object? It may be in a idle position, it may be in a fast gear position, like that. And what will be the behavior? Behavior will be, it may be braking, it may be accelerating, like that. Okay, so these two part is related to a particular object. An object, whenever an object will be created, that means there must be a concept of blueprint or template, that is known as a class. So what is the object, meaning of object? Object is basically the instance of the class. Okay, this is nothing but the instance of the class. Now look at this example. Just a minute. I'm just two page so that it will be easier to understand. So how we can define the state and the behavior within a class. Now we are defining a class which is name is bicycle. And in this class we want to define the state and behavior of the object. So at first, whenever we want to define it, we are just defining the variable, because state will be defined by the field. So here we are declaring a variable that is named as a gear. Its data type is integer and its value we are defining here as we are declaring here as a 5. Okay. And after that, we are defining one behavior of that bicycle. That behavior is braking. So we are creating one method. This is the, we all know this is the written type of this method. And in later we will discuss details of that, how the method can be defined, how the method can be accessed, what are the defined signature of a method, like that. Okay, but at the beginning stage, that this is the declaration of the behavior or the declaration of the method. In this method, we are just showing one particular statement, that is working of braking. Okay, so like that, within a class, you can define the field as well as the method, or alternatively, we can say that we can define the state and behavior of an object. Now look at this point, that in this class, till now, we are not defining any object. We are just defining a class. Okay, we are just defining a class. And in this class, we have to define the field and behavior of the object. Or in simpler sense, we can say that we can just create any template of that bicycle. That what is the uniqueness of bicycle? What are the behavior of that bicycle? That whenever we are talking about a bicycle, that what features that came to our mind, that thing should be defined within a class that is named as a bicycle. Okay. So after that, you are just defining the state or the actually the special characteristics of bicycle. Then you need to have to access these features or access these characteristics. For those purpose, you need to create several objects, just like the blueprint of house. Whenever you are creating, you are developing some building using the blueprint of that house, then what is the purpose? You can create many more buildings from that single blueprint. And each and every building will be known as the object of that class, that is building class. Okay, now look at the procedure that how we can define the object. Now, this is the point that the state and behavior, how those can be accessed. Whenever you want to create any object of any class, then you have to follow this syntax. This syntax you have to be followed. What is the syntax? The syntax is, first of all, you need to define the class name. After that, you need to define the object name. Okay. Then the equal to sign. After that, there is a keyword that is known as a new. After that, you have to define the class name followed by a first bracket, enclosing first bracket. Okay, this is the syntax for creating any object in Java. What are the syntax? First of all, you need to define the class name for which you want to create the object. This is not just you want to define any class or want to just access any class. Whatever the class for which you want to create an object or for which you want to create an instance, that class name should be defined first. After that, you can write down the name of the object. This is user defined. Okay. Anything you can be provided as this object name. Any name basically. Okay. After that, you have to write down the assignment operator. Then it will be followed by a new keyword. After that, you need to write down the class name, but that class name will be ended with this first bracket. Okay, this particular part is known as a constructor, special method, which we will learn in later. Okay, but this is the syntax for creating any object in Java. So this is the example for it. That's just like that. Bicycle. Bicycle is the class name. Next, we are creating two objects of this class bicycle. First one is the sport bicycle, and second one is the touring bicycle. Okay, so you are creating these two type of bicycle basically. That's why we are creating these two objects. Just look at this point that this is the class name, this is the object name, this is the assignment operator. After that, there will be a new keyword, and then after there will be a constructor of that class. This is known as the constructor. Why we will use this point we will be discussing later. Okay, but look at this. Here we are not giving any enclosing fast bracket, but here we are giving this. This is the symptom by which we can identify that this is a constructor. Okay, so here we are creating two objects. This is the syntax for it. Now we think about that. We'll learn that how this is used. Just look at this. This full concept, full program will provide you the main point that how you can, after creation of object, how you can use those. ক্লাসটা নিয়ে নি বলছো look at this. These two are point. Whenever you want to access any object or basically any field or method of a class using object, then what you have to do? You have to use some dot. You have to use some dot. Just a minute. We are removing this lighting. Now look at this. Here we want to access the field gear of bicycle using the object sport bicycle. So what you will do? For that purpose, you need to write down, this is the syntax, you need to write down the object name, then the dot operator, and after that, the name of the field. The same thing will be happen for method also. Okay, here we are using the sport bicycle. This is the object name, then the dot symbol. After that, there is the method name. So using this dot symbol, you can use both. You can access both the field as well as the method. So this is the case for accessing the field and method of a class using the object. Okay, so this is the basically the this is syntax. So now if we want to import it in a this concept, if we want to this or if we want to use it in a class concept, then you need to go for a perfect example or full example of a class. This is the example here. A class which is named as a lamp. Okay, here we are defining the value for this light lamp. First one is these two parties will be accessed here. That is, if the light is on, if the light of the lamp is on, then it will show you the true. Otherwise, it will be, that means if the light is off, it will be show you the false. So for that purpose, you need to define a variable or field. Here the field name is on. What will be the data type of it? Since we want to access the true or false value, we can define here the data type as a boolean. So in this class lamp, we are defining one field or one variable whose data type is boolean. Okay. After that, we need to write down the method to access this field basically or access this data. For that purpose, we are defining here one method that is known as a turn on. Okay, what is the purpose of this method? This method purpose is to turn on the light. That means if you are asked that whether the light is on, and if you are just asking or accessing this method, then it will show you yes. Okay, or true value. Okay, so for that purpose, here we are defining is on variable as a true. After that, we are showing that one SOP line or system.out.println line, that here it is asked whether light is on. Then it will provide you the is on value, which is assigned here as a true value. Clear? We will assign the value false whenever we are performing the method that is turn off. Okay, so for turn off method, the value of the variable is on will be false. So if you are asked that light is on and you are accessing this method, at that time it will show you the false. Okay, so this is the template basically for the light. Sorry, for the lamp. This is the template for lamp. There are two states basically, either turn on or turn off. Turn on means it will provide you show you the true value, or turn off means it will show you the false value. These two are the behavior basically. Okay. Now you want to access this behavior. For that purpose, you can define the main class. Okay, that's just recall your previous class that whenever you want to access any member or any method or any class, you need to define this. Okay, just like your C programming is always has an entry point, that is void main or int main or whatever be it. Here, this is the entry point of your program. Whatever you can define the template of a class, template of anything. But the main thing is whenever you want to access those, you need to define this public static void main, this main method. Within this main method, you can create object of any class. Okay, here we are creating two objects that is known as a lead and halogen. Just recall that point. You can create any object by your own choice. That means the object name can be user defined. Okay, so here the same syntax is used here, that is lamp. Then this is the object name. This is assignment symbol. And after that there is a new keyword, and then this is the constructor. In this way we are creating two objects. One is LED, another is halogen. So whenever you want to turn on the light, then you have to use the turn on method. So how you will do that? Just using the dot operator. Here we are writing down that is LED dot turn on. Okay. So LED dot turn on means we are accessing the turn on method using the object LED. Okay. The same thing can be happen for the halogen. But whenever we are using the halogen object, we are accessing the method that is turn off. Okay, so these two method will be accessed by these two objects. So what will be the output? One of you guess the output. This is the output basically. So first of all, it just think about this, that turn on method will be accessed. So what will be the SOP in turn on? The SOP in turn on, or the pin statement in turn on, is, just a minute, light on, question mark. Then the value of is on. The value of is on value is declared here as a true. So when you will just ask for the turn on method, definitely it will show you this message that light on. The answer is true. That means CS basically. And whenever you are accessing the halogen object, at that time it will be accessing the turn off method. Halogen, we are creating this halogen object, and using that object we are accessing the turn off method. So for those purpose, here it will be shown as a light on. The answer will be false. So this is the case by which you can create a class and you can create an object of this class, and using the object of this class you can also access the field as well as the method, or we can say the state and behavior of the object, whatever you are creating in your class, creating for those class basically. In this way you can define the class, you can create the object, and you can access the member of this class. Any doubt till now? This part will be discussed in the lab session in details, that how a class can be created, how we can create object of those class, and how using the object of this class you can access the several members of this class. This part will be discussed in lab class also. But here in this theory class, I have described you how to create class, how to create object, and how to access those both. Any doubt from that point? Any doubts till now?
No.
Okay, fine. So I am leaving this class right now. We'll meet at the lab session. Just a minute. So you can leave this class now. I'm ending this meeting today. Okay.